So Rolling Stones listed their top 20 films of 2025, and Sinners is not even on the list.
I don't know what beef media has with Sinners, but it's very clear that there's an agenda being put out that this film does not deserve award recognition. Rolling Stone put out their best movies of 2025 list on Monday, and Sinners was nowhere to be found. Even though it was mentioned in the opening paragraph, did the success of Sinners prove that there was still a mass audience hungry for original stories on a blockbuster level? Also, why are y'all still harping on Ryan's deal with the studio? On top of film bros having no faith in this movie actually getting awards, we now have the media do it. This was the same day, literally same day, later that night, the cast accepted the Ensemble Award at the Gotham Award. The same ceremony where Woomney won Best Outstanding Supporting Performance for her role as Annie in the movie. About time Warner Bros. Started her campaign, she needs to be in top 5, and she better be on the Critics' Choice nomination list tomorrow. I'm barely seeing people talk about the 6 Grammy nominations the soundtrack got, making them one of the few most nominated movies for the Grammys in history. I knew this switch up was going to happen back in April when it premiered. But these small wins, they are building to something bigger, and I am waiting for this film to sweep award season.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sumi. Just in case you're seeing me for the very first time, I hope you do consider subscribing on the channel, and obviously to all my returning subscribers, you guys, thank you so much for the love and support. So without me wasting any of your time, guys, let's go direct into the main reason why I'm creating today's episode. So apparently we know very well Sinners is one of the movies that have been trending apparently in this year 2025. So Rolling Stone came up and listed its 20 movies, the ones that have literally been booming in 2025, and left out Sinners. Now this has brought a lot of backlash from many people. I want us to first watch these clips together, and I'm going to come back at the end of the videos that I've brought for you guys, and I'll give my opinion.
The fact that Rolling Stones did not include Sinners in its top 25 movies of the year list, it's giving racism. Back when Sinners came out, my mutual Princess Weeks released a video onto her Patreon where she talked about how Sinners is the movie that Hollywood is afraid of. Because Sinners is a film that was made by the Black community for the Black community, and it was a raging success. Sinners showed Hollywood that audiences actually do want diverse film projects being made. We want original stories told, and a lot of the original stories being told are being told by people of color. Sinners was Black Hollywood saying that they don't need standard Hollywood in order to be successful. And that scares the shit out of people. Because if Black people start getting leading roles in movies, what are we gonna do with the 100 other white leading male actors? They might only get 36 films to be the lead in, when last year they had 37! So a film that is directed by a prominent Black figure like Ryan Coogler, who is undeniably talented, and also the film starring predominantly Black people, including the extremely talented Michael B. Jordan, who is apparently so charming he even has good charisma with himself. Audiences want double the Black actors. They want more Black filmmakers. And now they are reaching a point where they don't need white Hollywood's approval to do it. Which is why Rolling Stones and Variety have consistently tried to underplay the success of Sinners ever since it came out. Because remember that time that Variety wrote an article saying that Sinners might be a failure, even though it literally made back its budget in the first weekend? But apparently that put it at risk for failure? You don't have to like Sinners, but it is objectively, on paper, one of the most successful movies of the year. Financially speaking, it was one of the highest grossing movies this year. So you don't have to like it, but if you don't want to acknowledge its success, you're a racist. I'm sorry.
I saw someone on Threads say that the reason Sinners didn't make Rolling Stone's top 25 best movies of the year list is because Sinners is a popcorn movie. And listen, I am an avid connoisseur of popcorn movies. I saw Red 1 last year and liked it. When my film teacher asked me what was the movie that made me want to be a filmmaker, I said Dragonheart. I love popcorn movies, but Sinners is objectively not a popcorn movie. Popcorn movies are designed in a very specific way to please the masses. And while Sinners had mass appeal, it was not designed in a way to appeal the masses. It knew it was alienating a large part of the audience, that being white people. Now, of course, there are a lot of white people like me that still enjoyed Sinners. Great. Popcorn movies are not designed to make a statement. They're literally designed to give you like 2 hours to shut your brain off so you can just enjoy. One of my favorite movies of all time is Independence Day, which, if you didn't know already, it's an adaptation of War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds is a harsh critique on British imperialism. It was designed to put British people in the shoes of the many countries that they have colonized. Independence Day takes all of those themes and makes them American and dumb as rocks. That movie is not trying to make a statement about American exceptionalism. In fact, it actually reinforces it with Americans being the ones to save the day via implanting a virus. It is dumb as rocks because it is a popcorn movie. Not all popcorn movies are dumb as rocks, but most of them are, because they're not trying to make a political statement. They are just there for you to enjoy and turn off your brain and have fun. Sinners is not that. Sinners is far too artistic and experimental in order to be a popcorn movie. It is actually designed to make you think, to make you feel for people who were being oppressed, whose culture was being taken from them and being assimilated into whiteness. It has far too many layers. Acknowledging that Sinners is not a popcorn movie is not an insinuation that popcorn movies are bad. If they were, I wouldn't have seen Little Shop of Horrors like 10 million times, or Phantom of the Opera like 10 million times. Yes, it's a popcorn musical. Both of them are. Because popcorn movies aren't trying to make any sort of statement. They're not trying to tug at your heartstrings. They're just trying to satiate you, which is very necessary sometimes in the political climate we're living in. Popcorn movies are great. They're a great part of Hollywood. But Sinners is not one of them. Not one of the popcorn movies. It's a great part of Hollywood. It's just not a popcorn movie, I mean.
Rolling Stone's top 20 movies of 2025 has one huge omission, and honestly, they should be ashamed. Like, this has to be trolling at some point. Trolling Stone. 2025 has had some great movies, but here are the top 20 movies according to Rolling Stone. 20, Weapons. 19, Frankenstein. 18, Caught by the Tides. 17, The Phoenician Scheme. 16, On Becoming a Guinea Fowl. 15, Orwell 2 + 2 = 5. 14, Best Wishes for All. 13, Universal Language. 12, Eddington. 11, Peter Hujar's Day. 10, Sentimental Value. 9, Marty Supreme. 8, Sorry Baby. 7, No Other Choice. 6, It Was Just an Accident. 5, Nouvelle Vague. 4, Train Dreams. 3, Black Bag. 2, Hamnet. And number 1, One Battle After Another. Conspicuously absent from this list, Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Look, all art is subjective, and Rolling Stone's critics are allowed their opinions, and this list definitely skewed more indie and international, but for Sinners not to even make the top 20 seems ridiculous, and maybe done on purpose, like a contrarian opinion for the sake of being contrarian and stirring hate. And I'm not the only one to point this out. Ringer podcaster Van Lathan tweeted, "I've seen these movies. This is a farce. Farcical, I say." And author Andrew Grievous said, "I can't see how any self-respecting film critic doesn't at least have Sinners in their top 3. Epic fail, Rolling Stone." For what it's worth, Rolling Stone did mention Sinners in its special shout-out section, saying they had to kill a number of darlings to get the list down to just 20. But anyway, if Rolling Stone's goal was to be controversial, mission accomplished.
I am not surprised that Sinners did not make that 20 best movies list of 2025. Not because I don't think it deserved it. In fact, I think it deserves all the regards and all the rewards that it can get. But even after watching this movie time and time and again, I knew deep down, like in my heart, that this film was going to be disrespected one way or another. While this movie has immaculate camera work, immaculate actors, immaculate music, immaculate costume design, it's still unapologetically itself in a way that I don't think people got. People round this movie to be a movie just about racism with vampires in it when it's so much more than that. Not only does this movie show the different dynamics between different groups of people during this time, but it also shows how bad colonialism affects everybody. To this day, people don't get that the reason why Remick knew the prayer is because his people were colonized too. Not only that, it dives into how different groups of people have different ways of dealing with the trauma of colonialism and of the hardships that they're going through during the time. It shows that people who don't have that envy it. And even if they were hurt by the same thing as those other group of people, they still want to take it. They can have something of their own too, but it will never be as authentic. There's layers to this, and not everybody is willing to peel that onion to see how deep this movie goes. Also, people didn't like the way that Ryan Coogler took ownership of this movie too. A lot of people were upset at the fact that this is Ryan Coogler's movie. Because of those things, I'm not surprised it's not getting the recognition that it deserves, because y'all just don't get it like that. And that's okay, because I do.
Sinners not being on Rolling Stone's top 2025 movies list is very telling to me about the state of our country and also the state of media in the country right now. Is art subjective? Yes, of course. Is Sinners a perfect movie? No, of course not, because there is no such thing as a perfect piece of media. However, it's interesting to me because Sinners, as a blockbuster horror film, blockbuster original horror film that is one of the few non-franchise horror movies to make it big in a very long time by a Black director, it means a lot to a very specific group of people, namely Black Americans and especially Black Southern Americans. Because with all the anti-DEI nonsense and all the anti-critical race theory nonsense and all this stuff that people have been talking about, trying to exclude Black history from schools at all levels, exclude Black experiences from education at all levels, it's interesting to me that a film that is not just about vampires, is not just a genre horror film, right, but one that unflinchingly depicts life in the rural South during the Great Depression, during Jim Crow, right? We have alcoholism. We have an incredible portrayal of the blues and what it means to Black people. We have references to the Klan and their fuck shit, right? All these historical elements make Sinners what it is. And I think that it's telling that a film like that is excluded when things like the Phoenician Scheme, which I have not seen, but I haven't seen it because it seems weirdly Orientalist for 2025, is included instead.
Sinners not being on the top 20 best movies list of 2025 with Rolling Stone is crazy. Shout out to Black Girl Nerds for giving us this list, but Sinners is nowhere to be found. Something about this feels anti-Black. Like, did Remick make this list? Are y'all Klan? They even make reference to Sinners in the actual article. They also even talk about Ryan Coogler's deal to have the film 25 years after it's out. And not that we were going to Rolling Stones for our best films of the year lists anyway, but like, y'all, this is kind of nuts. What do y'all think should have been excluded and included on this list?
You niggas up at Rolling Stones lost something. And I can tell you what it is. It's your rabbit ass motherfucking mind. Who do y'all think there are naming the top 20 movies of the year? And Sinners ain't nowhere to be found in the bitch. You put Marty Supreme on there. That's not even released to the public yet. And it's in the top 20 movies of the year over Sinners. I love Timothée Chalamet a lot, but let's be for real right now. Not one of the movies you listed has a director that's better than Ryan Coogler.
There are many times when non-Black critics are racist towards Black films. It's very disappointing to not see Sinners on the Rolling Stone's 20 Best Films of 2025 list, and we also can't ignore other Black films. And as an Asian person, I have no authority over this topic overall, but it's really notable to me that lots of people ignore the fact that there are Black films on this list at no fault of anybody of their own, but some people don't know every single film on this list, including On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, a Zambian film that is a Black comedy about grief that is by far one of the most underrated this year. In Orwell 2 + 2 = 5, I haven't seen this documentary yet, but I'm going to watch it today sometime later. And this frustration comes from a very understandable place. Awards bodies have constantly ignored Black films, such as Do the Right Thing. Audiences will ignore Black films that are considered classics for years, and then will look at you like you're a wild person just because you name that's an amazing movie, such as Menace to Society. During the 80s and 90s, there's a long history of Black female directors, especially making one really notable film, having been critically acclaimed at the festival circuit, and then no one picking it up. And that was the only film that was ever made by these directors, and that's beyond a shame. There are currently very few Black directors working in the major Hollywood circuit right now, and if they have a movie that fails, well, we'll never see them again. We saw this last year with Hard Truths, a brilliant film that features one of the most nuanced portrayals of grief I've ever seen. Marianne Jean-Baptiste gives one of the strongest performances I've ever seen as well, a woman who is constantly pushing everyone away. She's trying to find the words to navigate her own grief, and it's a film that lots of white critics said, you know, I see her as cold or frigid, or I don't get this, or I don't get why she's showing showing up this way. I hate this movie. And then for some reason, one of the best performances of the year wasn't at the Oscars. Everything that I've said before, on top of other factoids about how black films are often ignored, is what makes this Rolling Stones list so frustrating. And I also do want to name, even though I do pause at the order of this list and how it's generated, but I also recognize these lists are sometimes maximized in order to cause frustration. There's some really amazing films on here that I feel like most people haven't talked about this entire year. Caught by the Tides, Universal Language are just two of them. Also, some people don't respond to a film in the same way. I think that Sinners is by far Ryan Coogler's best film. It's incredible. I think it's by far one of the most striking major studio horror films in years. And personally, I don't love vampires, so it's pretty low in my top 20, and that's not because I hate the film, it's just because I love other films more. And there's also going to be non-black people who are just very racist about Sinners, and those people should be called out, very frankly, right? There are people who belittle the character writing, the theming, the navigation, the racial triad in the Mississippi Delta between white people, Asian people, and black people. The One Take is by far the best thing that Ryan Coogler has directed his entire career. It's one of the best things I've seen in a major studio horror film, and maybe ever. It's up there. It's up there for all-timers, right? Even if this isn't in my most favorite films of the year list. And I think if we all had the same list, everything would be very, very boring. And also at the same time, as people are racist about this film, we should shut them down. We should call them out. This film is going to stand the test of time. It is by far one of the most remarkable films I think a major studio has made in years, at a time when so many films are just flooded with IP. The fact that, this film has a major chance at winning the Oscar for Best Picture. I don't think it's going to win. I think that's very unfortunate. But at the same time, the fact that this is an R-rated horror film with an all-black or mostly black ensemble cast is remarkable that it's going to get on that stage. I hope it wins a lot during the Oscars. I hope it really shocks people, because my God, if there was a horror film that deserved it in the last, maybe ever, it's this one. And nothing can take that away.
Now, this is very stressful. Why Sinners is not actually included in one of the 20 movies that have been one of the favorites or one of the best movies in 2025. Rolling Stone had to come out and make its favorite 20 movies and left out Sinners. This is quite anti-black. Now, as I'm reading this whole list, and I'm finding out that Sinners is not actually included in this whole list, it's giving me very many questions that I think I don't even have an answer for them. I knew it very well that at some point, somewhere, somehow, this movie is going to be disrespected. However much very many people loved it, very many people watched it several times. It signified very many things culturally, black people, black community. There are people who literally just didn't like the movie. And maybe because it's having black people in it. And maybe some people, maybe they just don't like vampires. Because tell me why very many people really loved this movie and Rolling Stone came out with its list and then Sinners is actually not included. This shows that one man is meat is another man is poison. They have just racist behaviors. They just don't want to put up something that is owned by black people because they feel like the black people are literally taking over. They just don't want to see black people taking over or winning in a certain way. And I also know that very many people are actually pissed. Like, I remember there was the Latinos, Mexicanos, they were like, how comes for us we were not included in this movie? Not everyone actually loved this movie. The movie was nice, don't get me wrong, the movie was obviously nice, but some people just didn't like it because it is a movie for black people and how can they see black people winning? And some people felt like it should have been theirs. They don't feel like black people, they just don't like it because it's owned by black people. Even the author, the director of this movie, they just don't like it. And I'm thinking that's why this movie is actually not being recognized, because they don't want to see black people raising up or succeeding in anything. Even if they have something nice, they'll always pretend not to talk about it. They will just want to bury it. And I'm thinking this is the main reason why this movie is not seen, is not put among their list. They are just being racist towards black films or anything that is owned by black people. They are just being racist because they just can't accept it, that actually a black person is winning, that black people are actually winning. The exclusion of Sinners from the Rolling Stone list of the 20 best movies of 2025 isn't just rage bait. It's intentional anti-black. Exactly. I don't know what you think. Am I just tripping? Am I just overthinking? It's just crazy. This always happens. This always happens. Every time they see anything that is being done by black people and it is successful and everyone is talking about it, they always find ways of barring it. Like they just don't want people to talk about it. They always find ways of eliminating it. They just don't want to see a black people owning something or even celebrating a bus. Like they just don't want to see black people winning. They feel bad. They always look for ways of making black people's talent buried. They always find ways of making them feel small, like as if what they have done is not good. That's why it's not included, because they want to show them what you did is not actually good. We have something better. I don't know. Am I just overthinking? Am I just overtripping? I don't know what you think about this episode. Please put it down in the commentary. And I am honestly not intending on making this video very long. Allow me to stop from here, and I think we shall meet again in another video that I'll be uploading. I remain Sumi. If you haven't really subscribed on the channel, please do consider subscribing for more reaction videos like this. And also let me know what is your opinion. In case my opinion is not working for you, don't just unsubscribe to the channel. This is something that we are here to share thoughts, literally. Otherwise, we shall meet in another clip. Please guys, I do have a membership subscription on here. Go ahead and check them out. I have only 3 stages: bronze, silver and gold. Check them out, and if you join, I would honestly appreciate your support. Otherwise, bye bye.